Alright, so I just saw Avengers Endgame, just like a lot of other people. And there's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to think about, and we're not going to do that all here. I could make a lot of content could be made from this movie that I probably won't do just because I procrastinate and don't really finish things that I start. But anyways, and won't do all that in this video because I'm already too long-winded, and I think I only have like 16 minutes available to film, and I've already wasted like one of them. Also, I didn't, just like all my other videos, I didn't really sit down to organize my thoughts, so we're flying in blind, ladies and gentlemen. But unlike the other videos that I've made, this probably won't be so much of an analysis of quality of content, whether it's good or bad, and my like or dislike of the movie, but it'll just be more about my thoughts of the movie and experience and things like that. So probably should have put a little bit of forethought into organizing my thoughts, but first things first, as I always say, go see the movie for yourself and formulate your own thoughts and analyze it your own self and all that good stuff. This is not a video to determine if you should or shouldn't go see the movie. This is not even a video to determine if it's good or bad. So now that that's out of the way, don't listen to the hype. It is not the greatest comic book movie of all time. That's just because it's current, it's fresh, and what it is. It's the end of an era. So right now, those like things combined, it being what's hot right now and it being the end of like an age, makes it the greatest. But no, not by a long shot. Not by a long shot. Now, anyways, Endgame. Alright, so let's talk about the crowd. When I went to buy my ticket, like, weeks ago, I think I bought it the same day I saw Shazam or something like that, or maybe the same time I bought the tickets for Shazam, and there were very few seats. Like, it was packed. I couldn't even see the ideal time that I wanted to see it, but I ended up seeing it at a very good time, nonetheless. And anyway, so there's very few seats. It's like packed almost every theater that I went to buy a ticket. Every auditorium or house, I forgot what they're called, but was packed. Now, last night, in the actual movie, I didn't even sit in my assigned seat because there was like a woman immediately next to it. And then all the way from the woman to the end of the row was vacant, empty. So I ended up sitting one seat over from where I was supposed to sit, just so I could have my own personal space and she could have her own personal space. And everything to the left of me was empty. And there was a number of empty seats. So it's like people like wasted their money. I don't know if they ended up buying multiple tickets or like multiple seats just to give the studio money, or if they bought tickets and like couldn't make it, or I don't know what the heck happened. But yeah, there's a lot of empty seats, especially for what it is. I think a lot of people are going to see this just to check it out. I think the hype, people want to see how it ends, and a lot of people have been going on this journey with these characters for years now, so and there's no patience, so we all just want to jump in and see, get that immediate satisfaction and gratification. So I think it's going to make a lot of money, but one thing that we have to learn is that money and popularity does not equate to quality. And people like to look at numbers, understandably, I mean, you can glean some information from numbers and you can feel good about profiting to a degree, but it's not the whole picture. In fact, a lot of people it's very popular to bash Michael Bay and Transformers franchise, but if you look at the numbers, they've been financially successful for the most part and made a lot of money. And then conversely, people but they'll say they're bad. But then conversely, people will say that a franchise they like is good, and then they'll boast about the numbers as proof that it's good. So it's like they don't really correlate. But anyways, so Avengers Endgame is a bit strange because alright, so first off, what is it about? Spoilers for, I guess, the franchise as a whole, but I'll keep the spoilers actually about this specific movie to a minimum right now. All it is about is, if you saw the previous movie, Infinity War, the Avengers, or the survivors of that movie, are trying to undo what Thanos did when he disintegrated half of everyone, and they're trying to find a way to reverse what he did. That's it. Now, it definitely did feel like the end of an era and the end of a time period, and that was sad. But the movie itself isn't sad. So it's kind of like, to me, when something familiar is ending. Like, alright, a number of stores have closed around me, and probably you too, like Kmart, Toys R Us, Babies R Us, Sears, etc. And my mom worked out Kmart for like 20 years, and it closed, and it was sad for her and for me, actually, and I never worked there. And even driving past the building now, there's stores being built there, and there's like a tinge of sadness. It's like that. The movie, I don't feel was sad. There was definitely sad moments and elements in it, but the way it was executed wasn't sad. I definitely didn't cry, but there was audible sniffling and sobs and stuff like that in the crowd that I saw it in. So people were definitely crying. I personally didn't cry. Like I said, the movie itself didn't make me sad, but the surrounding circumstances are sad to me. And not even sad, it's just loss or whatever, when something's concluding and it's finished or whatever. The movie was strange. It's like, it started off very strong. Well, strong for the MCU. I mean, the last number of movies, I feel that the actors have been phoning it in and haven't really tried. But this movie, they actually it actually felt emotional. It felt like they were actually committed. And like I said, the performances started off very strong, but it definitely went off the rails in the third, I guess, the third act, the final battle or whatever. People are saying that's what made the movie for me, or for them, and for me, that's what almost ruined the movie. Like, up until that point, I was like, all right, this is pretty good, although my mind was wandering, and I was like, all right, this is interesting. I don't know, whatever. But that final like conflict was very let's throw everything in the kitchen in the pot. And hopefully it tastes good. It didn't taste good. It felt alright. So for it being the conclusion and culmination of all of these things and all of this experience, it felt rushed. It felt hollow, and it felt very much like the performances were generic. It felt like fan service gone wrong. And I already have a very dubious a view of fan service, and I've heard it's like, this is the most comic book movie of comic book movies. This is the most comic-y. And it's like, yeah, but not the good things about comics. Like, it's not, it's comic-y, but, yeah, not the best aspects of comics. It was strange because it was like, parts of it felt like a comedy. It felt like it seemed like I couldn't tell if it was a comedy or like a parody. It's like, alright, so here's a spoiler. Thor is in a fat suit. I mean, not Thor, but Chris Hemsworth is in a fat suit, and Thor is supposedly fat because he's let himself go and all that. And it was like, it doesn't look real by any means. It looks like it's supposed to, it was obviously supposed to get a laugh, but at the same time, this is like supposedly a serious franchise. I don't get it. It's like, it looked like Fat Bastard in Austin Powers, the second Austin Powers. Like, the first time Fat Bastard appears, that fat suit actually looked really, like, really good. And then when he is, like, in the sequel, it's gone down, I guess, to make it even more comedic. That's what this was like. It did not look convincing at all. It looked like a bad fat suit. The CG for the Hulk was bad, or bad for modern times. The CG in general looked very cheap. The effects looked very unpolished, like, and it looked like it was done for comedic effect. This video is gonna be way too long, and I'm running out of like time. I've got like 2.5 minutes left, maybe, and so Avengers Endgame. A lot of people have died that I know this year. I've gone to like 3 funerals within the last couple months, and know like there's been like 9 to 11 people that have died in like the last 2 or 3 months. We're actually only we're only 4 months in the year, and like 11 people have died. And it's like, it felt kind of like a funeral of someone you don't know well, or someone that you're not close to. So it makes me kind of reflect as cliche and shallow as that is, it was kind of like when someone you know dies and it's like, damn, or dang, this isn't a game, this is serious. So, but you're not personally affected or sad. It's just kind of little bit of like a chin check, like a sobering thing where you're it's like a funeral or seeing somebody die, watching somebody die. This being an end of an era was like that. It's like, and I also felt like when I watched Thor Ragnarok, I know my thoughts are all over the place, I'm sorry. When I watched Thor Ragnarok, in the back of my head when people were dying, I was like, oh, your contract's up, your contract's up, your contract's up. So it like dampened the impact. It didn't feel like they were dying because of the story or because it served the story, but it felt like people's contracts were up. And that's how it felt like when some of the people died. And you know, the granddaddy of them all, who I'm talking about, it's like, well, your contract's up, they don't want to pay you anymore. That's kind of what it felt like. So it was a mix of sadness because of he's the OG and what we've been through, but it felt like there's a contract negotiation and they're trying to end it. So I'll probably make future videos on this, hopefully a little bit more organized, but this is my initial word vomit video. What else? Yeah, most of you don't know me, but alright, so I have a love-hate, mostly hate relationship with the MCU, but I appreciate it. And yeah, it's like I'm a respectful enemy of it. It's like, alright, so your adversary died and you go to their funeral and it's like, I respect you for as much as I hate you, I respect you for what you've accomplished and what we've been through together and what you've done. And I'm kind of looking forward to what the future holds. I think that the MCU's reign is over. Now, I don't think it's going to like plummet, but I think this is the end, and I think it's going to slowly recede. And unfortunately, there's like no real counter programming or no real competition anymore, because the fandom sunk the DCEU years ago after BVS and that whole debacle. Like, BVS, people just weren't ready for it, so they sabotaged the whole franchise, and now it's like cliche, cheesy MCU knockoffs, we'll say. And so now I think it's going to be a lot more like peers, and I think the MCU reached its pinnacle with this, and I think it's gonna slowly, like I said, recede. And I think when people look back at this, it will be like, you had to be there type of thing, because I don't think the greatness is actually contained or conveyed when you watch the film. So it'll be like, Grandpa, how come this movie's so great? And it's like, I think the greatness will be conveyed orally. Yes, I said orally. Deal with it. So the MCU doesn't have a lot of rewatchability, so when you're not in the moment, it's kind of hard to understand why it's so powerful. And I think once time has passed and the hype has died and sobriety and reason are a little bit more at the forefront, these movies, this franchise won't be won't seem as great. Whereas other movies, I think, will stand the test of time, or stand up a lot longer and have a lot more depth and rewatchability. Yes, I'm talking about Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Man of Steel, things like that. I think they're a lot hardier, a lot more artistic, and a lot more... They're not a fad. So they'll last. And this, I don't think will last on its own merits. It will last because of the oral tradition of the people that were there, like me and you. Like, a very perfect example is the Christopher Reeve Superman. If you watch any of those freaking movies, they're trash. They're trash. But because of nostalgia and the people that were there, they're the zenith, they're the pinnacle. And it's like, objectively, if you just come in and watch them for what they are, they're definitely not. They're not. But just because of that passion of the people that experienced it, they prop it up. So that's what I think the MCU will be like. Years from now, when you watch it, it's like, this? But the diehard survivors will be like, yes, this was the Battle of Normandy. Anyways, hopefully some of this made sense. Some of it was entertaining, and you could share your thoughts and your experience below. Maybe I'll make a little bit more of a clear thought processed video, and we'll talk about some of the things. Yeah, I gotta talk about some of the movie itself specifically. And hopefully I'll do that and not just say I'll do it. Alright, thanks for watching. And, yeah, comment and we'll definitely talk about it.